Today we are making this adorable infusible ink camping mug. I am gonna walk you through how to design this to yourself, how to end up with this layered look in Cricut Design Space. If you signed up for the event, I've given you the design, and if you're looking for the design, you can go ahead and check the link in the description to get to the design. Okay, let me tell you everything we need for this project. You need a blank camping mug. You can use any kind of mug as long as it is a mug meant for sublimation or infusible inks. You need a measuring tape, some measuring tape. And I measured incorrectly in the video, so I did have to go back and adjust that. And all I did was make the design as a whole thinner. You're gonna need some kind of infusible ink. You do not have to use the Cricut brand. I have a link for these in the supply list. If you're looking for the supply list, check the link in the description to get to the supply list. And you're going to need your green sticky mat, some kind of weeding tools, some shears, and your Cricut machine and the Cricut Mug Press. All right, let's hop into the design space. On a new canvas, we are first going to go to images, and we want to click on this filter and go to free. And we need a mug wrap. The mug I have is 12 or 11 ounces, so I'm going to use one of these 12 ounce, or I think it might be, I think it's 12 ounces. So I'm going to use a 12 ounce mug wrap, and I have not found a better or an easier way to figure out what size they are besides clicking on them. I want to use the wavy one. So I've grabbed the wavy one, and if you look in here, you have this wavy design, and then you have the outline design. Go ahead to upload, and then drag and drop your SVG file in. Click on continue, click on upload. And now it's on our canvas. I'll go ahead and close that out. And I'm gonna have to make it much smaller. I'm not sure why Design Space is bringing things in weird and wonky today, but that's okay. I'm just going to go in here and adjust this, move it down, and then select both and align center horizontally. So I want this to be a two-sided mug. So I am going to duplicate and space these so that my mug is two-sided. Now once I get these two placed where I want them, I'm going to select them both and align vertically. Now that I have everything aligned, I want the text layer to not be in with that group. Like, I want to detach the text layer, and I am going to group these two and then duplicate them and put them back right over that first set of rainbows. And I'm going to turn off that first set of rainbows. I'm going to select this group and both my text layers and go down to combine and click on weld. And then I'm going to come down here to my mug wrap, ungroup. I'm going to click on this gray layer and then my weld results and click on slice. Now I'm going to get rid of those inside spaces. Now we have to reattach these two, and then I can turn this back on. This is actually going to be cut out in a different color or different colors. And that's it. All we need to do now is get it cut out. Go ahead and click on make. Once the screen flips over, we are going to organize our sheets or our mats. And you do want to mirror these because it's basically sublimation, so you're putting it on backwards, if that makes sense. I'll show you when we go to put it on the mug. I'm changing all of my mats to 12 by 12 and turning mirror on. I'm not sure why it's taking so long to switch over the mat changes, but I guess I'll just be patient. But I'm going to go back through as they change and double check that my mirror is on. I'm going to get this onto my mat. For that outline layer, I'm using blue, and I'm going to use my standard grip mat. Go ahead and load your infusible ink shiny side down onto your mat. I'm using the Maker 3, so it's going to measure my mat and then prompt me to go ahead and start. And when this play button starts blinking, go ahead and start it. We'll go ahead and remove this from the mat, and I'm going to flip it upside down and remove the material from your mat. That way you don't have to worry about your materials rolling. I'm just going to set this aside and go to the next sheet, which is my orange. Load that into the machine. And I should have done this the first time, but I'm going to click on Infusible Ink Transfer again, and then I want it to remember the material settings because we're cutting all infusible ink transfers. Let it do its thing. When the play button starts blinking, go ahead and let it start. I didn't learn until recently that there are two sides to the mat covers. One sticks better than the other. So that's my little tip for the day. Now we are going to get these all weeded out, and what I've been doing is just cutting around and getting the pieces that I need cut out so that I'm not wasting a whole sheet of infusible ink. But one thing that you always want to do when you are using infusible ink is put your extras back into whatever plastic or whatever they came in, because moisture will cause issues with these. So we don't want any moisture on these. So I'm going to put those back before I even do anything else. Trying to get better about cleaning up after myself when crafting. We all know how our craft rooms can get. Now we need to weed these out. We have all our pieces here, and this is a little different from HTV where you just pull it off. So what I like to do is roll it in my hands a little bit to allow those cut pieces to lift some, and then I just weed with my fingers. Go ahead and turn our mug press on and finish getting this weeded out. And if you can see, I'm just folding it so that I can see it lift up and then just pulling it off. It's super simple to do. The Hello Spring lettering, some of the swatches or whatever are a little bit small, so I do have a pair of needle nose tweezers to get under there and get out any stubborn pieces that don't want to come out. And you just get your tweezers under there and then pull it off, kind of like you're weeding vinyl. I can't do it with it up off of the table. I ended up switching to my weeding tool. That way I can like actually dig into the piece that I don't want on here. When you are using a tool to weed out infusible inks, be very careful. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I scratched my design a little bit right here. So that'll probably leave a little bit of a white spot. But I'm going to go ahead and get everything else weeded out and ready to go. The mug press just beeped, so it's ready, but we're not. So with these, what I want to do is remove this piece of the back part, or the piece that I'm not going to keep, from the actual part that I want to keep. And that is to prevent it from rolling and making our lives harder when we get to the next step is to put these pieces inside here. We're going to use a combination of our fingers and our needle nose tweezers. That's why we remove these from the backing. So I'm just going to take it and place it in there. You want to see the color on top, and do it carefully so that your piece fits in. And this is what it should look like when we're all done. Here is the opposite side. And we have to prep the cup before we put this on the cup. And the way you do that is I just take a paper towel and a little bit of alcohol and wipe it down really good. And what this does is it removes any oils or anything. And then you'll want to let it sit and completely dry of that alcohol before you do anything else. Now that it's dry, we can go ahead and get the transfer put on our mug. I got a little piece of infusible ink here that I am going to get off. And then try to place your images exactly where you want them to go. I want my design centered. Let's see how much space we got. So I'm going to move that around a little bit. The outside could have been bigger, but hey, it works. And I am going to make this part flush to the top. And here's what I'm looking for. I want to make sure that these ends are pretty much centered. So I'm going to keep moving them until they are. I guess the easiest way to center would be to lay down the design and my cup in the middle, and then pull each side up. Make sure it's tight. And what I'm doing now is just pushing it up a little bit. I can see there's a little bit of a white lip coming around from this side. So I'm just going to move it up a little bit. Now everything is on the edge. The last thing I'm going to do is press. These cups are already snug in the mug press, so I'm not going to use any parchment paper or anything. But you just want to make sure that you get it down very carefully around the lip. Push it down in there and close it and let it do its thing. Once the mug press beeps, you can go ahead and release it. And this is going to be hot, but I can't find my heat resistant gloves, so I'm going to use this kitchen mat to take it out. Go ahead and let it cool completely before you remove that transfer. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and get it out of the way. You can go ahead and remove your transfer by lifting up the edge and just taking it all the way around. It came out very pretty. It's super vibrant. Just toss that sheet, and then I'm going to put the lid back on my cup, and that is our layered infusible ink spring mug.